What's going on, everybody? My name is Sergio. It is now the end of January, and I am finally making a YouTube video. Basically, wait, did that go through? I hope it didn't. I have decided to challenge myself to read more books than I did last year, except I've never talked about it on YouTube before, so this will be my first time doing so. But I think maybe while doing these videos and kind of giving little updates that it will encourage me to keep reading even more. Currently, my goal stands at 35 books for this year. I do want to maybe hit 50, hopefully. I do stumble sometimes, but anything's possible, dude. At the end of last year, I was kind of behind, and I actually ended up reading, I think, 12 books. Yeah, some of those were mangas, but that doesn't matter. I still read 30 books in 2023. So yeah, to begin, I'm gonna just go on and describe some of the books that I read this month of January 2024, and hopefully maybe I can encourage some people to pick up a book too and start reading and create your own little challenge. So without further ado, let's begin. So I think I'll start off with my first favorite book this month, and I think I'm gonna give it to Pachinko. Uh, Pachinko is it was a really interesting story. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. Um, so this story basically takes place in Japan. You follow this Korean family who kind of immigrated there, and it's like during the World War II era where it kind of starts off, where you follow this woman named Sanja who, um, she got pregnant with a stranger she fell in love with, and a different man who was actually on his way to Japan from Korea, kind of decides that he wants to help her out by, raising her child and giving her children a dad and giving her a better life essentially. Because at the time when at this time in Korea, Japan was trying to colonize and kind of take over Korea, which is something I didn't know. I don't know if they taught us this in school or anything, but I completely didn't even know this happened. There's a lot of things that happened with Japan that kind of blow my mind. How did Japan go from this to this? Kind of blows your mind a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, Japan, um, because of their colonization in Korea, is causing a lot of Koreans to kind of suffer, and it's not easier in Japan. In fact, it's pretty bad. Like the kind of racism and the kind of discrimination Koreans receive from Japanese people is pretty insane. Like one example is, even though you have had generations of Koreans that have been born in Japan, Japan does not recognize them as Japanese citizens. They're still considered Koreans. Like they're still considered foreigners, which kind of just sucks. You know, you still can't do things that a regular Japanese citizen can do. You can't travel, you can't leave the country. There's certain jobs you can't get, certain things you can't do as a Korean in Japan, even though you've been there for many years. And so I think that's what the book really highlights the most, while you follow this main family, um, who, all of them are just really good people, really great characters. Like all of these characters, and you follow from, character from the 1930s, 40s, all the way to the 1980s. And so, you as you follow these characters, there's just so much depth to all of them, and you just want them to kind of survive. You just want them to be happy, and I think that's what's really shown in this book, is that despite all that, this family really sticks together. So it's about love, family, survival, and in this world that pretty much feels like they're not wanted. And so I think for me, what I really loved about it is that it hit a little close to home, me being a family of immigrants also in the United States, with similar sort of feelings about things I can and cannot do, um, not being an American citizen. That is, it was kind of relatable in a way. And so for me, I think this book was beautiful. It was definitely very sad. It was a sad book, um, but it's also hopeful, and that's what I really loved about it. And although it seems intimidating with how big it is, do not be intimidated. Um, it is an easy book to follow, so definitely recommend. This one was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Go check it out. Go read it. Love this book. Probably putting it right now. Probably my favorite book of the year. And the year just started. So there's that one. It was a really good book. Go check it out. The second book that I read this month was Haruki Murakami's Kafka on the Shore. And thing about Murakami that I've heard is that he's a really popular Japanese author whose storytelling is very unique. And after reading not only Kafka on the Shore, but I've also read Norwegian Wood last year, I can see that. Like his story writing is probably my favorite. And it's the kind of storytelling that makes you think also. So in a way, it's kind of poetic. But in Kafka on the Shore, you follow two characters. You follow a young boy by the name of Kafka. He's 15 years old, and he's running away from home. He's running away from like a prophecy that was kind of bestowed upon him. And let me tell you right now, this book is weird, bro. This is a weird book. The prophecy that's bestowed upon him, weird as fuck. One of my favorite books of all time is Game of Thrones, and there's a certain thing in this book in Game of Thrones that turns people off. And like, even though I tried defending it, they're like, no, it still has that. And I'm like, no, but I mean, like, it's a different time. When you read this book and there's something similar like that happens, you're just grossed out. That's all I'll say. If you know, you know. But even though it was a little weird, I still really loved it. The other part of this book is a man by the name of Nakata, who's like kind of an older man who, when he was younger, he had like an accident that affected his brain, and it kind of made him not so bright. He can't really communicate with people. He has like limited vocabulary, but he can talk to cats. And because he can talk to cats, he's kind of put on a journey that leads him to go find something. But you don't really know what he has to go find, but you go along with it anyway. That's one part of the story that I really liked, is that it was kind of like a mystery book, and it was also kind of like a coming of age book, and it also had like this magical twist to it that kind of reminded me of Spirited Away, but I won't say more. This one to me was a really interesting book. It was a great journey to follow, despite the weird thing that happens that you'll find out if you read it. But either way, I loved it. It's definitely my favorite Murakami out of the two that I've read. And because of me liking Murakami after just these two books, I couldn't help myself. I had to get a third. So this is probably what I'm going to be reading in February. It's another hefty one, but let's do it. I ain't scared. So yeah, Kafka on the Shore, 4 out of 5 stars from me. Definitely an interesting one. Definitely go check it out. Don't be weirded out by it. Just keep reading it. Just keep reading it. And the final book that I read, I don't have a physical copy. It was an audiobook. So this is it. It is Encounters by Diana Walsh Pasulka. And if you're into conspiracy theories and you're one of those types of people who just dive into a rabbit hole and you just can't get out, this is the book for you. This one's about UFOs and how they have a similar connection to religious, like spiritual encounters. So you know how there's like saints who say they saw like a light in the sky and it was God. And well, Diana Walsh Pasulka is a religious study professor who kind of went and investigated that a little bit more and found out that a lot of the similar things that would happen to people back in the day and that were kind of claimed as saints for seeing this vision and getting a message from God or whatever, back in like before we had technology or anything like that, those encounters are super similar to when people say they see UFO encounters. And so this story kind of dives into the connection of that. And also, Diana Walsh Pasulka is not only a religious study professor, but she also kind of like has connections with like higher ups who actually do study this UFO stuff in like military, NASA, Space Force. And so she kind of goes in depth about it. She uses people who cannot be like publicly named, and she gives them like pseudonyms to kind of hide their identity. And the things that these people study is like, it's legit, and it kind of blows your mind. It kind of cracks your perception of reality, makes you really wonder what kind of world we live in. And this isn't one of those conspiracy theories. This is legitimate like stuff that she's been researching for years, and people actually research this like high up in like, you know, some of the top colleges, some of the top military branches, some of the top like everything. So I definitely recommend this book to go check out if you want to dive deeper in the UFO rabbit hole. You want to know a little bit more about what's really going on. So I'm gonna give Diana Wash Pasalka's book a 5 out of 5 star rating. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit biased and I just really love that UFO like world and that rabbit hole. But I think she has some of the best research that I've seen in the field at all. So definitely go check it out, and I think you'll be hooked once you read this one. So yeah, just a quick short little video. Hopefully I didn't spoil too much, but I want to be able to encourage myself to keep reading. We're going to try to reach 35 books this year. So far we got 3, and I think we got this. So hopefully you also start this challenge too. You know, find any book tracker that you want and start writing down all the books that you want to read and see if you can reach your goal. So maybe you could do this together with me. My name has been Sergio. Hopefully you stay reading. See ya.